certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. Sorry for the late start. My computer was being a dick. That's the simple way to put it. But I've got a fun panel here for this topic. We've got Jacob Barber. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting topic. I'm curious to see what other people bring up. I'm curious to see what they think about my choices. So I'm just ready to have a fun time.
What's better than one Jacob, but two Jacobs? We've also got Jake Cameron here. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going very well, Malcolm. Thank you for having me. I have been subtly looking forward to something like this for a while because I've had at least a half a dozen ideas for wrestling stories I want to see movies or TV shows made out of for roughly a minute. So when you invited me to do this, I was like, yeah, I couldn't be more in if I could. So yeah, I've been looking forward to this.
We've also got Richie here. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, no, going good, man. This is a great topic. Glad to get into it. And look, I'll as long as I get Jillian Hall and her mole on this list, yeah, we need the biopic of that. Even the E True Hollywood story of Jillian Hall and her mole. Anyway.
I know you want, man.
Last but not least, we've got JPO. JPO, how's it going?
I love this as my two worlds making a sweet, sweet little baby together. Wink, wink. Why they only? That's weird.
I don't know how that.
Don't look too deep.
That's how it works, right?
Is that why you don't legit?
Yeah.
We'll find out. It's movies, it's wrestling, it's a little bit of pitching too, because I said off air, me and Barbara were saying and agreeing that I usually have a set 12, and if it's not in my 12, unless you make a great argument, I usually say, hey, it's good, but it's not in my 12. Here tonight, my heart is open. Make some good pitches. There's a good chance I'll say yes. I've got some ideas. I like to think I've got some kind of unique ideas too. We'll see. We'll find out live here on Rankum.
And how this works is we're just going to go around and in this case nominate a wrestler we think should get a biopic, but it does, and with it we can even pitch it if you want to be like a real biopic or a fictionalized version of their biopic, and you can pitch it an idea for a factional tag team if you want as well. It doesn't have to be specified to just one wrestler, and you can't, and also just because they've already got biopics, you can't pitch one that will wrestler that has some kind of thing. So, which does mean Paige, The Rock, the Von Erichs, and Hulk Hogan, all that, because Hulk Hogan is getting one eventually. I don't know if there's anyone else that's already had one. So yeah. But Jacob, who's the first one you're going to bring up?
Yeah, so for my first one, I'm gonna go. I thought of this one, and we're not even gonna get into his WWE career, because I think there's a much more interesting story for me personally with Kurt Angle winning an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck, and I think it'd be cool and interesting to see that story on the screen. So I don't have much of a pitch. I just think it'd be really cool. Because how many people can say they won an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck? I don't know much of the story. I haven't looked into it too much, but seeing how he got there, I think you could come up with some pretty cool training montages. I don't know who you'd get to play Kurt Angle. I don't know who would be a good choice, but I think there's a story there that I would like to see. So that's my first pitch.
Jason Cameron, what do you say about Kurt Angle?
Oh, that's an easy yes for me. Kurt Angle, one of the greatest of all time. He's got a really fascinating story, especially when you like consider his later years. And we we all like talk about like Perk Angle and like High Reverence, but he was going through it, and I think that would be an effective like redemption arc kind of movie. So yeah, that's an easy yes for me.
You're both pitching different movies, but okay.
Well, what would your movie have been?
Well, no, I just wasn't sure what the rules are. Like you were saying, yes, they're totally different movies. All I'm saying. I mean, okay. Are we just agreeing to Kurt Angle in general?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's more about wrestlers who obviously get biopic. So yeah, you can say.
Yes, I was thinking Jacob said like we don't even get into the thing, and then you're like we're gonna get straight into his redemption thing.
I'm not saying straight into it. I'm just saying, you know.
I didn't say straight in. I just meant like.
Yeah.
I was just checking what the rules are because you're both pitching different movies. That's all.
Okay.
That's a good clarity. Yeah, no, I mean that's good. Like, because he's got a point too. Like the Perk Angle and whatever. Like that's a good story too. So. But it's a good story as well. So if we're just pitching the person, and it's like, oh, yeah. But you sold me on an interesting story that could be. Then I get it.
But Richie, what do you say about Kurt Angle?
Oh, he's a good bloke, and I've read it. I think he's right for a biopic. I've read his one of the few books I've read because I can read, believe it or not, and I read It's True, one of his sort of biographies that came out like a long time ago, and yeah, even beyond his story of his like family is really wild. Like, so I don't know if you want to go in that side of things, like. Yeah, like, not to get too dark, but like, you know, one of his brothers is in jail for murder. But yeah, so and like yeah, he's had a pretty tumultuous life. But yeah, and then like yeah, there's a lot of substance here, so I would definitely say yes.
And Pedro, what do you say about Kurt Angle?
Oh yeah, that's why I was asking for clarification because I almost would have said no to Barber just because I want wrestling movies, and his before he's even a wrestler.
Wrestling, but I pitched wrestling because he's okay. Okay. I was like, what?
You pitched me an amateur wrestling movie. I want pro wrestling movies. That's why I'm here. It's a weird nitpick, but I want to see more pro wrestling movies. That's why this might actually be a better TV show because I think there is a lot to say here from the good, nice kid who wouldn't go to ECW, had the broken freaking neck, won the Olympic medal, to kind of getting hot shot in WWE, to, what I mean, having to leave WWE even though he loves Vince and everything in the WWE, but he's starting to, have his demons here. Marriage falling apart, but then finding a new love. Like, yeah, there's plenty to be told here. So that's a yes.
Yeah, this is one of those ones that I didn't think of necessarily, but I do think this is definitely a good story, and it's definitely one of those ones that I think would make an interesting biopic. So it's going to be yes for me for Kurt Angle as well. So Kurt Angle's going to make the list.
JP, you're not going to like my next pick if he doesn't get picked then. If you want pro wrestling.
According to Kurt Angle, there is one that might be in the works. It's just not in production yet, but yeah, so it still counts. But yeah, there is one in discussions. So.
It counts. Nothing's really said. So yeah, everything else is fine. Yeah. Even the Hogan one, I would argue, is far from stern at this point.
Yeah, I don't expect that to. I expect that to. If it happens, there's going to be a lot of changes. Yeah.
Yeah. But Jacob Cameron, who's the first one you're going to bring up?
So for my first nomination, and this is one that I have been keeping in the back pocket all day, so I'm going to go with it first. I'm going to choose Bret Hart. And I think that like Bret Hart, but in say the style of Yellowstone and expand it to the greater Hart family. If that doesn't count, then I'll just narrow it down to just Bret. But I think Bret would be a fantastic subject for something like that. You could see his career. You could see the ups and downs and everything in between. So yeah, my first nomination is Bret Hart.
Richie, what do you say about Bret Hart?
Yeah, I think there's a good substance there, but I actually think it might be controversial here because I think there's a better way to utilize it. I mean, just to the story encapsulate with other stories within the Hart Foundation. Hart family. So I'm gonna just give it a slight no, but I don't mind for next list.
JPO, what do you say about Bret Hart?
Yeah, I was leaning towards giving it more of a shot with the Hart Dynasty. There's a more interesting story there than just Bret by himself. I also think Bret's kind of boring main character. Sorry, Bret. But I also feel like we just got Iron Claw, so I kind of feel like it also almost made a little bit too close to that. I just didn't hear enough, so I'm going to give it a slight no as well.
This is one of those tricky ones for me because, like, for me personally, I didn't have Bret Hart on his own. I did actually have like the Hart family there, but it's one of those ones like this is one of those ones like you I do think would be interesting, so I'm going to give a slight yes. But Jacob, what do you say about the Bret Hart?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking back in the group chat, and it says you don't have to pitch the biopic idea as a single wrestler. You can pitch the biopic for a faction or a tag team. So I mean, or are we including like a family in that? I don't know. But I think the Bret idea is interesting because I think you can expand on that with the other, Hart family members if you're going to do like a series. So I think there's enough there, like from Bret's perspective that you could make it interesting enough. I don't know if it'll be high on the list, but I could see this being a 12 or 11 for me. I'm interested, so I'm gonna give it a slight yes.
So that Bret Hart is going to make the list. Richie, what is the first one you're going to bring up?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll bring up. Sorry that I've. Surprise hasn't been talked about being production yet, but and one of the more beloved wrestlers ever, really. Still gets name chance. I'm going to go Eddie Guerrero. And I am going specific Eddie Guerrero here. So yeah, I just think he's got a great story from obviously growing up in this the famous wrestling family, arguably becoming the best of that family. And yeah, like the trials and tribulations, obviously with his drug issues, not being used, probably in WCW, then coming back to WWE, becoming the main eventer, and then ultimately his tragic passing. But I think there's there's enough story there, for a good movie, and yeah, I'd love to see it. And you might obviously, I know he's a persona non grata, this day and age, but like you probably have to include his friendship with Benoit in there, just because they're so close. But like that is a so a good point of the story, and yeah, I think it's just a great story there to be told. So yeah, I'm gonna go Eddie Guerrero.
JPO, what do you say about Eddie Guerrero?
You almost lost me at the Erky Benoit stuff. No, you can probably leave that out. There's enough story around it. Damn. Yeah. Shit. This might be a quick episode. We keep saying yes to everything. I want to go more than twice. But I'll say yes because I like the idea. Eddie's a legend. I think there's definitely a legend to be told here. Unique aspects too of being in another family aspect with a simultaneous Mexican legendary family. So I'll say yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those ones that I think there is a lot to say about Eddie without necessarily needing to go into the Benra stuff. And I mean, let's be honest, like if WWE are producing this, they're going to want to leave that out, unfortunately. But yeah, it's going to be an easy yes for me for Eddie. Like he's definitely one of those ones that I do think would make an interesting movie. Jacob, what do you say about Eddie Guerrero?
Yeah, it's going to be a yes for me as well. Yeah, I think there's enough there that you don't have to include the Benoit stuff if you don't want to. Like, I think there's a perfect ending with him, finally winning the championship, and then you can kind of, sure, there's more after that as well. But if your movie ends with Eddie Guerrero finally winning like the WWE championship, like that is a nice feel good ending, and then you don't have to go into the the Benoit stuff. But yeah, no, I there's enough there. I'm very curious to see like some of his outside of WWE stuff, outside of America stuff. So yeah, it's a yes.
And Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Eddie Guerrero?
Well, he's going on the list no matter what, so my vote does not count. But it would have been a yes if it did count.
You make it sound like you're going to say no.
Only JPO points out when your votes don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Kind
of funny.
But JPO, who's the first wrestler you're going to bring out?
All right, so maybe later I'll get more mainstream if we even get there. I'm going to go a little more outside the box here. We just named 3 all-time legends, 3 people that could be on certain people's Mount Rushmore's world champions. I'm going more a little bit smaller here, but that's the thing is about pro wrestling is you can have stories of many different levels. And I was inspired by Dark Side of the Ring. I'm going Earthquake. I'm going John Tenta, and I'm serious here. There is a beautiful story after watching that really inspired me, and I thought about that before this was even a topic here. You have a man who travels to Japan to become one of the first, gaijin sumos here and being, fish out of the water here. And they're treating him bad because he is white. He's a gaijin, but he ends up falling in love with a woman that already has a son. They end up having another daughter later on. There's a love story here. She still sings his praises to this day. It's so beautiful of these two finding each other, happenstance halfway across the world. The story of how he, goes from main eventing, MSG with Hulk Hogan to, getting released, going to WCW, those gimmicks failing here, going back to WWF, but this time being put a mask on with Golga, kind of getting, humiliated in a small way, to being a truck driver, the ups and downs of pro wrestling, kind of like the wrestler with Mickey Rourke, except this one, it's not that sad of a story because he dies with 2 kids and a wife that absolutely love him, and it's still a very fulfilled life. Earthquake.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm not overly familiar with this wrestler. I've heard the name before, but JPO's story that he sums up makes me want to find out more about him because it does really sound like one of those heartwarming stories and all that. So it's a yes for me. Barbara, what do you say about Earthquake?
Yeah, JPO, you sold me. Sounds just like the type of story A24 would do. So you call them up and get them on board because that does sound like a very heartwarming story. And I don't know how many tickets an Earthquake movie is going to sell, but wrestling fans,
how many people did they want to see Iron Claw, but it got good reviews and stuff. So
right. So if it's done well,
yeah.
Jacob, what do you say about Earthquake?
I'm going to say yes. And I remember specifically when the latest season of Dark Side was announced, I was like, we're making an episode on the shark? Man, they really must be running out of ideas. But then I saw the episode, I'm like, dang it, this show is so good. Because I had no idea that John Tenta was...
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they 3D chess and all that. So, yeah, JPO sold me. I'm going yes.
Richie, what do you say about Earthquake?
It doesn't matter, but I would have said yes.
All right. You've all been fooled. I'm going to cast myself as Earthquake. I never told anyone that.
I say no now. I mean, your only credit is what? Putting something on the counter?
Good.
And I did good. You believed I was buying that wrench or whatever it was.
Yeah. The only thing I want to be King Curtis Ayakea. Sullivan, my son.
I have to tell them issues.
But it's on to me. And, I'm going to bring up this one. This is one of the reasons why I did, when I put it on the poll, said real or fictionalized, even adding in gimmick, because um, I'm surprised WWE have not capitalized on this yet. But I would like to see a movie about the fictionalized backstory behind the Brothers of Destruction and Undertaker and Kane. So I know they talked about a lot of their story in there, but just to actually show their story and make a movie of that, I think it would be really interesting to see. And it's one of those ones I'm really surprised they haven't capitalized on this. And it's definitely one of those ones that could be interesting. But Barbara, what do you say about the Brothers of Destruction?
Yeah, this was another idea that I had. Yeah, a fictionalized story of them growing up would be pretty cool to see, whether it's a movie or if it's a series, whatever it is. Like I'm on board. Fictionalized biopics, parody biopics, whatever it is. Weird was the Al Yankovic story was one of my favorite movies of the year it came out, 2022. So I think there's something there. I think it could be entertaining, unless they just go really dark with it. There's different ways you could go with it. But I'm on board. I'm gonna give it a yes.
Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Brothers of Destruction?
You know what? I'm gonna go yes to this. Do y'all remember when they released like a Kane book? Like
I remember. I read some of that.
I'm trying to get my hands on it, but I haven't been able to find it. But long story short, that does sound like something I would be interested in. Like horror and wrestling, two things that I love. So yeah, easy yes for me.
Didn't they release an Edge book with a similar idea to it, where it was like fictionalized?
I'm trying to find that one too, and I haven't been able to find it anywhere.
Richie, what do you say about the Brothers of Destruction?
See, I mean, look, I don't mind the idea necessarily. I don't. I mean, we're just to clarify, we're just kind of basically buying or selling, or like the idea of the
yeah.
Biopic. It doesn't matter. I could say it would work better on this medium as opposed to So I don't know about it being a movie, but I think once WWE has their Netflix deal, if you want to put a a thing on Netflix, like even like I don't know, like then I wouldn't mind that. But like, I'm not as overly but keen, so I'll go slight no.
JPO, what do you say about the Brothers of Destruction?
I'm the opposite. This is a huge yes for me. When you said fictionalized, I had to pause for like fictionalized. I want to see why Stone Cold started drinking. Like I was trying to think of what could you even do for that. This is perfect. Like I absolutely want to see them do a fictionalized version of this. And by the way, in the private chat, there's your eBay. Go buy the book for $40. I found it.
Very much.
Yeah, Journey into Darkness, a novel by Michael Chiappetta. It's a story about a kid, and there you go. A kid's childhood.
Also, if anyone wants a novelization to the Marine movie starring John Cena, I can sell it.
But anyway, with that, Brothers of Destruction is going to make the list. Barbara, what is your next pick?
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Obviously, I'm just gonna pitch the wrestler, and you guys can. My idea doesn't really matter, but the way I would want to do this is because this guy has reinvented himself so much that I think you could make a series about this guy and like all the different, gimmicks that he was able to come up with. But I think the career of Chris Jericho is so fascinating, from WCW to WWE to now AEW, just the way he's been able to reinvent himself and being able to like go into the mind and see how he was coming up with all these character changes and how he was able to keep himself relevant for 30 years now and do it at such a high level. I think there's an interesting story there, and I think you could easily make this into like a mini series or a limited series or whatever. Obviously, it's not going to go, 5 or 6 seasons like Young Rock did or whatever. I don't think the Young Rock went 5. I think it was shorter than that, but I think you could make this a limited series where each sort of episode is based off a gimmick. You don't have to do the entire run of that gimmick, but just kind of how he was coming up with these gimmicks. I think there's an interesting story there that I personally would like to see. But again, come up with your own Chris Jericho idea. I'm pitching the wrestler. You guys can say yes or no.
But Jay Cameron, what do you say about Chris Jericho?
It's tricky because Jericho is still pretty active, and I think it would be interesting. I'm gonna go slight yes. I think it'd be interesting if maybe they did like his debut up to like when he wins the Undisputed title. I think if they keep it like within that range, I think that would be more intriguing. So I'll say yes.
Richie, what do you say about Chris Jericho?
Yeah, I hear what Jacob's saying here, because I prefer. I mean, biopics to me, I think they're done when like the story is that most of their story is sort of already told. Where I think Jericho, like he's still going. I mean, we don't know how longer he's got left. But and give it. I mean, I can make the joke about maybe it could go 5 or 6 seasons, because by the time you've watched like 3 seasons, you'll come out with 10 other gimmicks. So
you're not wrong.
So yeah, I probably prefer in the format of like not a biopic necessarily, but just to sit down with Jericho explaining how he came up with whatever, and then like I don't know if it's like a movie. I think that like Life of Jericho. I don't know. I just think there's probably more people that could be on this list that have more meat to them. I think maybe down the line, like if you could do something, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm curmudgeon in this episode, but I'm gonna say no.
JPO, what do you say about Chris Jericho?
Dark and Richie, he'll hate both of us. I think Richie was getting close to what my logic is, which is I feel like you pitched us a really good shoot interview / podcast. I don't see a movie in what you said.
Well, I didn't say movie.
I don't even know. Huh?
I didn't say movie. I said series.
Even I don't see a cinema. I don't see a story. I see him discussing his ideas, and then retelling them. I just didn't see how it's a movie or a show. Personally, I don't really see it. It's a slight no.
Yeah, Chris Jericho is one of those interesting ones. It's one of those ones like.
I hope you bomb his earthquake.
But
Poor John Tendall.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chris Jericho as a wrestler, but it's just one of those ones there's not a lot. I don't see a lot in there. I get like each of his iterations and that, whether it's the "you made the list" gimmick and all that. I think is interesting. It's be interesting to see how he came up with it, but it's also one of those ones like I don't see it necessarily as a movie, as say. So I'm giving this a slight no as well. So unfortunately, Jericho is not going to make the list.
We can get a biopic of Hot Cheetos. We can get a biopic of Chris Jericho.
You said Jericho's not making
sure it could be done, but we got to be a little picky tonight.
Yeah, I said that intentionally, Richie.
I didn't know.
And Pop-Tarts. Let's not forget, and Pop-Tarts.
But Jake Cameron, what is your next pick?
So for my next pitch, ladies and gentlemen, his name is Paul Heyman. I think the Paul Heyman biopic is long overdue. Well, I mean, he's still going, so not long overdue or even overdue at all. But I'm just saying, like, if you watch the WWE DVD, the Paul Heyman one that they did in 2014, just like hearing about how he came up and then AWA stuff and then ECW and then just everything that he has been a part of, I feel like there's so much you could do with that. If you want to get super specific, maybe just cover the ECW stuff. like a rise and fall kind of thing. But I think Paul Heyman just in general would make a great subject. So Paul Heyman's my nomination.
Richie, what do you say about Paul Heyman?
Yeah, I think he's one of the best managers of all time. I think sad. I think it would make a better TV show than a movie, probably, in my opinion. But it's tough. Because his story is interesting. Like, or, you know, going back, basically his career started on a lie, whereas like, you know, he got a job like was a photographer taking photos of like on like a wrestling magazine by saying, yeah, no, I do this all the time. And then he got that job. But yeah, and his story is very interesting, and he's a genius. And I'd like to see that portrayed on screen. Just yeah, I'll say yes. I'll see what other people say. I'm curious, but I'll say yes.
JP, what do you say?
No, I actually agree that this might be a better TV show because I think there is some meat on the bone for. Am I here? Yeah. Before he gets into like as a manager, his coming ups, you know, with the interviews and stuff, going to ECW, even kind of like his resurgence coming back on commentary. I think there's plenty to be told. Again, like Jacob said, if you want to focus maybe more on the ECW run, make a nice tight 2-hour movie here. Him bringing this Eastern small company into what is the number 3 company in the world, and even just the fire and the crumbling of that would be a great fucking 2 hours. Yeah, there's definitely a great possibility. And again, casting agent, just throw my hat in there.
There, Malcolm.
I'm Malcolm, and I agree. What about you, River?
Hey, Jacob, what do you think about
we do record Malcolms.
What do you think about Paul Heyman?
My New Zealand accent is the shits, so I'm not.
Hey, I'm Malcolm. I'm walking here.
But I will go ahead and go until he comes back. I think if you want to make a movie, you do that ECW stuff. If you want to do like his whole career, this is going to make a great series. Because I think the DVD that they put out of him was one of the most captivating DVDs and documentaries that I watched, and so you know, seeing a dramatized version of that would be pretty cool. So yeah, whether it's a 2-hour, you know, movie of the ECW stuff or a series of his whole career, it would be fantastic. And Malcolm is back. I said yes, Malcolm. We were waiting for you to come back, but
yeah.
Did I get to do a good impression of you? Oh no, he's gone again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I would have suggested this, and yeah, it's one of those ones like I can definitely see this as a series. Like one season could be about the rise and fall of ECW, then you get another one where he's like with Brock Lesnar, and another one for Bloodline, and all that. I think there's a lot you can do with Paul Heyman, so it would have been a yes for me as well. But Richie, what is your next pick?
Malcolm's next pick is the anonymous general manager. I mean, there's a few like maybe less big names or anything, but that you could probably pull from that like probably sort of their run. But yeah, I just can't escape that this dude probably should have a movie at some stage, and I'm gonna go Ric Flair. That dude has had a crazy life. And he's still getting crazier if you follow him on social media, which I don't know if I recommend necessarily, especially the way he types. But anyway, yeah, like the dude that the dude kind of started his career kind of late, but he was really struck by lightning. He was in a plane crash, and then he became literally one of the biggest wrestling acts of all time, one of the most charismatic dudes of all time. And I also think he needs redemption because of the the last person that betrayed him was on the Iron Claw, and that dude was that guy was in a different movie. I don't know what the fuck. I don't think he's heard of that guy. Heard of Ric Flair? I don't think. I think the guy got the job. I just I don't know what that was. So yeah, look, Ric Flair needs his redemption, and yeah, so I'm going Ric Flair here. I did that. There's a lot you could tell. So look, you could probably go TV series, but I would venture, right, like if you're, yeah, I actually think just because of like the litany of like of things you'd have to cover throughout his career, I would punt more for TV series than movie. But like if you guys can think of a starting point and end point for a movie, I'd hear it. But yeah, but I just think Ric Flair needs one of those two. So I'll go Ric Flair.
JPO, what do you say about Ric Flair?
Woo! Only if John Woo directs it. And I thought it was weird that Richie wants the guy from Iron Claw to be in it. I mean, that's what you say, that's part of your pitch. No, yeah, I thought about him. I didn't have him on my list, but yeah, now that Richie made a good story. I'm just there's definitely plenty on the bone here. It's not gonna be a super fun one. I mean, it'll be fun, but he's kind of out for himself, you know what I mean, kind of guy. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think it's definitely a story worth telling. So I'll give it a woo yes personally.
But yeah, you could get Grayson Waller to play Ric Flair because he played Ric Flair in Young Rock. But yeah, apparently, I actually looked this up. Apparently, the person who played Ric Flair has commented on it. He said he didn't want his show to be an impersonation because he felt there was great Ric Flair impersonations out there, and he didn't think mimicry would fit the film. So,
yeah, but what?
I get what you say. I'm not trying to defend the actors who played, but yeah, Ric Flair, I think, is definitely one of those characters that I think I'm surprised hasn't had a biopic greenlit in that. But I think he's definitely one of those ones that definitely deserves on. So yeah, it's gonna be yes for me. Barbara, what do you say about Ric Flair?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a story here from him, being in that plane crash to, potentially not being able to wrestle again to having one of the greatest careers of all time. I think that's a story worth telling, and yeah, even post wrestling career, or at least full time, there's a lot there too. So whether you want to do a movie about a specific time period or a series on his career as a whole, I do think there's a story there. So I'd give it a yes. I'd watch it.
And Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Ric Flair?
This is yet another easy yes to a Ric Flair, friend of pizza parlors everywhere.
Yeah, I also think he might be that kind of dude that wouldn't. Unfortunately, he'd probably be one of those guys that wouldn't allow a lot of of the negative stuff to be in the movie. But as much, he'd be like, hey, I don't want to talk about that stuff. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but I still think it's true. So.
But if that Ric Flair is going to make the list, JPO, who's your next pick?
Billy.
All right. Hold on. Bear with me for my next pitch here, y'all.
No.
I'm taking the rules and I'm slightly bending them and twisting them for this one, Malcolm. But hear me out. I think it tracks kind of close to you. Stop guessing. I'm going to pitch to you Ready to Rumble 2. You cannot kill Gordy Boggs. Hear me out. Gordy Boggs, as we saw at the end of Ready to Rumble, was with WCW. He was a wrestler. His best friend was a manager riding high, right? What happened in the real world? Like a year and a half later, if not less, WCW got bought out. Gordy Boggs' contract got bought out. He went to the WWE. You do some quick flashbacks about how things didn't quite work out. He's jobbing to the Hurricane. He's jobbing a Boogeyman. He gets released from his contract. He quits wrestling because it just wasn't what he thought it was going to be. He does, the convention circuit for a little while, WrestleCon, and that's where Oliver Platt convinces him, you need to do one more run. It's in your blood. You got it. Even though he's in his 40s or 50s, you cannot kill Gordy Boggs' spirit. And at WrestleCon, he also runs into, maybe Scott Collins doing autographs, his character. Maybe he starts with the indies. He runs into Rose McGowan's dancing at one of the local shows. You have all the good characters you want from Ready to Rumble. Joey Pants shows up, tries to, kill his career. DDP shows up and goes, I'm sorry, man. I found yoga. I'm a much more peaceful man now. Let me help you. It's a reunion special. It's about never giving up. It's about how you cannot kill the spirit of a true wrestling fan like Gordy Boggs.
But
you want to see it.
I mean, I haven't seen the first Ready to Rumble, so I'm just gonna say no. Barbara, what do you say about Barbara? What do you say about Ready to Rumble 2?
You pitched a good movie, but you didn't pitch a biopic. You pitched a sequel.
No, here's the thing. This is all about Gordy now, and it's partly true with David Arquette's true life, but how he comes back into wrestling because he wants to prove himself. Because that's why WWE didn't push him. It's because they said, you're not really a wrestler. You invaded a cage match, and WWE signed you, and so they jobbed him out and fired him, and now he's earning his way back in. So it's the real life story of David Arquette slid underneath the banner of Gordy Boggs. Boom.
Still no.
God damn it. Come on. Cameron, you got my back here. This is not
what do you say about Ready to Rumble 2?
You know what? I'm gonna go yes, because normally I don't like movies with like meta commentary in them or doing like winks and nods or like two parallels. I normally am not a big fan of those, but you know what? Like hearing it out loud, I'm like, this sounds like you can't kill David Arquette. I'm like, I think that was the general idea.
That was like, you cannot kill
Pitch David Arquette instead, and I might have said yes.
So it's unorthodox,
You didn't pitch a biopic.
yes, but I'm gonna give it a yes.
Hey,
Richie,
man, come on, baby.
What do you say about
I don't know why you put me in that position. You could just say no, fine, and when you put me in that position, and I don't know what to do.
You know you want to see Ready to Rumble 2, man. Come on.
Yeah,
and this is such a good way to get to a Ready to Rumble 2.
That implies that Ready to Rumble was a biopic, and it wasn't.
I'm not saying it is, but no, the second one is now a meta biopic, man. This is Jacob, you had your turn. It's all up to Richie.
And so did you.
I'm one to talk. Right? I don't know. How's this work? Wow, I really heard
that. Fuck you, yes. Why not?
Yes, because also think about it on the poll, people are going to be like, what? Yes.
Yeah. I believe
From somebody who's usually a stickler on the rules to pitching and not a biopic. I don't even know who you are anymore, JPO.
But with that, JPO
where am I
loosely
gonna get
tried
to
to get
pitch
a
Ready to
David
Rumble
Arquette
2
biopic.
Yes. And
Do you
it's
have
a
any
meta
more crazy
biopic.
ideas like that?
Movies that deserve a sequel.
Yeah.
Well,
But Ed,
on that episode, I'll redo my pitch.
I'm now curious to see what Austin would have said if he was here. But anyway, moving on. This one. I don't know if it, especially with all the stuff that's coming out recently about this guy, whether it's actually going to happen now. But it's one that I do think will be an interesting story. And it's Vince McMahon. Like I think this would be a really interesting biopic, just sort of showing him creating WWE and all that, and just everything. Once again, obviously, there's a lot of stuff, especially recently, that they're going to want to leave out. But I think a Vince McMahon biopic could be really interesting, and I think it's definitely one that has a really interesting sort of tale to it. Barb, what do you say about Vince McMahon?
It's an interesting one because yeah, obviously he's a major figure in wrestling history, but at the same time, it's like at the current moment, I could care less about Vince McMahon and whether he gets a biopic or not. So I guess I'll vote with how I'm feeling in the moment, and I'll be like, I don't care. So no.
Jake Cameron, what do you say about Vince McMahon?
I'm gonna say yes, because McMahon was on like my short list of like ones that I would like to see. I think if they went and did like a Wolf of Wall Street style like movie on Vince McMahon, I think that would be something really fascinating. So it's getting a yes from me.
Richie, what do you say about Vince McMahon?
I just think that like if I understand, like, if you're doing a biopic about something, there might be certain negative things they might want the director or writer to leave out, but like the recent stuff, like that's so big that you just can't you can't leave it out. And I don't know, man. It's sort of and they'll come and build. They were getting close to even like doing one. I think they were even talking about they're talking about casting options. Like I think John Hamm wasn't like they talked about John Hamm. They weren't discussions or anything, but they talked about the idea of John Hamm, Bradley Cooper. There seems to be in discussions about every casting thing ever. Yeah. So I don't know. Because also like I understand like you want to portray your subject as maybe flawed, but I don't know. There's flawed, and then I don't know. I'm just probably I'm probably like Jacob at this moment in time. While there's a story there, I'm just not really vibing with the idea of like, I want to watch a Vince film. I don't really want anything to do with it at the moment. So I'm gonna go no.
JPO, it falls on you. What do you say about Vince McMahon?
So maybe if you cast Adam Ray from Young Rock, who also does a great film, Dr. Phil. Yeah, he played Vince on Young Rock. So, and I would love to see the R-rated version where he doesn't have to hold back. But no, I unfortunately do think I sway with Barbara and Richie in the fact that like, unless one, if you had said this, a year or two ago, I would have been like, hell yeah, this is easily top like 5. Like, let's get a Vince biopic. He's one of the most important people ever. Or two, a no holds barred, like unaffiliated, biopic. Maybe I could also get on board with, and we show the warts and all. But I feel like that's not possible. So I kind of lean towards no in that way.
Yeah.
I figured this was going to go this way, but it's like I just wanted to bring it up just to see what happens. But
yeah, fair enough. I gigged with Adam Ray when he was filming Young Rock. I got into I tried to do a Vince off with him. We did a gig out. We did a gig outside in the rain with using a microphone. I'm like, we're gonna die. We're using electricity.
Barbara, we go back to you. What is the next wrestler you want to pitch for biopic?
All right, hear me out. Nacho Libre 2. No. My real next pitch is JPO. You can come back. My real next pitch is going to be because I think this guy. I think there's a really interesting story for after his career, and that's Jake Roberts, where he was kind of down and out, but that DDP yoga and just kind of how he was able to make a return and just clean him. Yeah, he was going through some stuff, and JPO likes wrestling. You can do some flashbacks to his career in wrestling. Just kind of some of those moments that led him to where he was, and then seeing him get back, and just being able to be in the business again with the AEW and stuff, the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. I think there's a really interesting story there. I think there's a feel good story there with his post wrestling career. That I would love to see it, but we'll see. Jake the Snake is the wrestler. That's just what I would like to see from his life personally.
Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Jake the Snake Roberts?
I'm gonna say a slight no, because we technically already got a Jake the Snake movie, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. That was a documentary and is very good. So
you got a documentary on Paul Heyman.
It's a good point too, but I mean, yeah, I'm sticking by my no, just slightly.
Richie, what do you say about Jake the Snake Roberts?
Yeah, I mean, I can see what Jacob's saying. Jake Cameron's saying. Got two Jacobs in it. Cool, it's confusing. But like, yeah, I just, I think again, like a biopic kind of would hit different, but and so yeah, and like he was on my mind. Not that all like biopics have to have like people with like tragic sort of backstories or whatever, but obviously that makes for the most interesting the most interesting watching, as you probably see in any reality show. Everyone they only highlight the people with the kind of the big stories. So how about like, yeah, I am sort of interested in like the fact he's still like he's still not very often, but he's still out there managing Lance Archer sometimes. So and I don't know, I think there is meat there. So I'll say yes.
JPO, what do you say about Bonesaw McGraw, Jake the Snake Roberts?
I'm gonna give it a yes. I like the pitch of, this is kind of a redemption angle. This, to me, I also kind of liken it to like a happier version of the wrestler with Mickey Rourke, because if you had to say like what is the wrestler based on, it's obviously an amalgamation of several different wrestlers, but Jake the Snake is one that always came to my mind, of a guy that rocked in the 80s and 90s and then had family issues, and like wrestling was the one thing he was kind of good at, kind of thing. Happier ending of like he finds his redemption, he finds his resurrection, if you will, as Kevin mentioned for that one. And we got a documentary, but we also had documentaries on the Von Airs. We had a couple of them. So like, I'm here for biopics. I want to see who they can cast as Jake the Snake and whatnot. And I think there's a really fun, life after wrestling aspect that could be told from this.
Jake the Snake Roberts, he's one of those wrestlers that I've always wanted to know more about. Might actually try and find that documentary, but in contrast to Jacob Cameron's point, Fighting from My Family is based on
a Prime. Oh wait, you're in another country. I don't know. It was on Prime.
Yeah, I mean, in contrast to Jacob Cameron's point, Fighting My Family is based on a documentary, so they could easily take that documentary and make it into a biopic, easily, because they did that for My Family and that. So
you see footage from that doc at the end of the actual movie, yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely not an impossible thing for them to take a documentary and make it a movie itself. So yeah, I'm also going to go yes to Jake the Snake. So he's going to make the list.
And by the way, Bonesaw McGraw is Macho Man. Did you say Bonesaw? It's all right.
That's.
I was hoping they'll realise that mistake. Taking Cameron was his unique nomination.
So for my next one, I'm going a little slightly off the beaten path, like not slightly, but a little bit, but not by much. I have always wanted to see a biopic on Bruiser Brody. I think that there could be something there with that, especially like one of the first episodes of Dark Side of the Ring was about the murder in Puerto Rico and all of that. But you see in the archive footage that they have how he was very well spoken. He played football. He was a loving family man. Contrast that with the wild man that you would see in Puerto Rico and Japan and all these other places. I feel like there would be a nice vehicle there to showcase how in the wrestling world he was this wild and crazy guy, for lack of a better example, and then at home he was like a completely different person. So I think that could be explored quite a bit. So my nomination is Bruiser Brody.
Richie, what do you say about Bruiser Brody?
He was a guy that I was thinking about. So yeah, because I don't feel like, yeah, like you certainly get documentaries on like his untimely demise, but yeah, I think a more kind of deep dive into human being of Bruce Brody in the form of a biopic and a movie, I think that'd be kind of great. Yeah, because I love Bruce Brody. I obviously yeah, I he inspired a lot of the wrestlers you watch today. He inspired Mick Foley. He inspired the hardcore style. Inspired like John Moxley. So yeah, it's yeah, like and I think he's just got a really sort of compelling story, and it's one of those what ifs in wrestling too. Like where could have, if that never happened, what could have where would have he gone afterwards? But yeah, like just yeah, I'm curious to know, maybe the man behind the mayhem sort of deal. So I would say yes.
JP, what do you say about Bruiser Brody?
It's an interesting one, yeah, because I think there's something that could be told here. Well, your ending's gonna be fucking sad. It's just gonna end with, and he's murdered and the wife's sad. But yeah, I think there's an interesting story to be told about a guy that kind of was two faces, if you will, complete opposite in the ring than what it seemed like it was, at home. Kind of like that's a little more, less mainstream action, weird, kind of like that. I'm on the fence. I'll be the curmudgeon, leave it up to Malcolm Jacob. I'll say slight no. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me because while the story that Jake Cameron pitched is definitely an interesting one. I'm not overly familiar with this one, this wrestler at all. I did read up about him, but I'm gonna go slight no as well. I'm just not too familiar with the wrestler to kind of see how it goes. Like, yeah, it's going to be a sad ending and all that, like, obviously, but yeah. But Barbara, what do you say about Bruiser Brody?
Yeah, there's an interesting story there to tell. But kind of like JPO, I'm kind of on the fence about it too. If there were more spots available, I might lean towards yes, but we're at that point where there's limited spaces.
Yeah.
So if we could do a top 15, I would say yes, because I do think there's an interesting story there, but I think there's a few more that we could get that I personally would like to see just a little bit more. So I'm going to give it like the slightest of no's.
That Bruiser Brody is not going to make the list. Richie, what is your next pitch?
Just to clarify, how many spots do we have left?
We have 3 spots left.
All right. Oh, and I mean, it is kind of coincidental that you brought up Brian McGraw because my next pitch is Macho Man Randy Savage. I think he has a story there.
So yeah, like from his whirlwind, his tumultuous relationship with Elizabeth. Yeah, I mean, and to his first was rise in wrestling, obviously, to his and then his tumultuous relationship with Elizabeth, which led to his falling out with Hogan. And yeah, I don't know if you want to tell us um, like random foray into rap later on, but yeah, and then there's unfortunate, untimely demise when he heart attack behind the wheel, I think it was, but yeah, I just think he's one of the biggest figures in professional wrestling. I think in the 80s, he was probably the second biggest wrestling star there is, and I think he's still one of the biggest wrestling stars. So yeah, and I just want to see how someone. I think the Macho Man impression is one of the most favorite impressions of people to do, even people who are even vague wrestling fans. So I'd like to see someone. I just want to see someone portray the character on the big screen, because I think there's a lot to tell here. In form of a biopic. So yeah, I'm gonna go that Macho Man.
JPO, this time, what do you say about Bone Samoa?
By the way, I'm watching a WrestleMania thing on Peacock where it's all alternate camera angles. This is kind of cool. I like the concept. Anywho, another one here too. I mean, Icon. I actually think too, if we're talking about selling tickets, somebody want to sell some tickets too. He's got a full-fledged story of coming up, really being dedicated, and then rise to the top, having some weird falls with both Elizabeth, even the gorgeous George stuff might be kind of crazy, and finally kind of more of a happy ending, although it does kind of end sadly as well, but it's still more happy before just the quick sad ending of him passing kind of a little bit too soon. So yeah, I'll give it a yes.
This is the easiest to like. Randy Savage is definitely up there with as one of my all time favorite wrestlers to watch. He's always just one of those entertaining ones. And I mean, talking about Randy Savage impressions, Kevin Smith is a really good one. And yeah, it's going to be yes for me as well. Barbara, what do you say about Randy Savage?
I'm just curious how they address the Macho Man Stephanie McMahon stuff. That's what that's the part of the movie I'm in for. But other than that, yeah, no, I think there's I would love to see a story about his career and his life. Yeah, I think there's a really good story there. Yeah, he's a well-known name. But yeah, so I'll give it a yes.
That Randy Savage is going to make the list. JPO, who's your next?
Jacob, what do you think about it?
Jacob,
I was going to say yes. So Malcolm read my mind.
JPO, who's your next pick now?
All right, we've had fun with our sausage fest, guys. It's about time we get a little biopic from the
Fox
pioneers.
Capital.
Shut the fuck up during my introduction. It's about time we get something from one of our female pioneers. I want to get a Mae Young biopic up in here, because another cool thing that we haven't had a woman yet, and two, there's nothing in this era either, because this chick debuts in the 40s, y'all. Think about training to be a pro wrestler in the hardcore 40s, and you're a woman too. There's a lot of distinct shit you have to go through, whether it's physical assault, emotional, being held down. You know what I mean? She was unfortunately a name that didn't really rise to prominence until really, weirdly enough, in her really later years, the 90s and whatnot. Despite being really good at pioneers as Mildred Burke as well as Mae Young. I think it's a great era to look at. I think it's great about overcoming, the odds and still just being a cool person too. At least she's one of those people that I don't think anyone really has a bad thing to say. Was a badass into, her late age, but very deadly. Her slapping him backstage, like, I'm gonna do it. The power bomb and stuff like that. I think this is a really interesting biopic that is again needed and different from everything we talked about so far.
Yeah, Mae Young's definitely one of those figures that I've seen a lot of in my limited time of wrestling, just with her mini backstage segments, um, and it would be interesting to see who they would have gotten to play her as well. Because like if she
Florence.
hadn't,
Oh, never mind. Shit.
I mean, if she hadn't passed, like I probably would have said like Betty Wright. I think could probably have pulled off a Mae Young.
Oh, in her later years, I do kind of as a weird side pitch. Do you see this as almost like in a League of Their Own, where like you see her later on in her life, or later in life?
But yeah, but the big question is who's going to play the giant, her baby the giant hand.
Once again, casting agent.
But
JPO, do this. You're in.
Yay!
I saw a hand.
He's like, I believe it.
But yeah, just because it's actually one of those female wrestlers I would like to know more about. I'm actually going to say yes to this. Barbara, what do you say about Mae Young?
Absolutely. I think, yeah, like JPO said, she debuts in the 40s. Is active in some capacity, into the 2000s, and yeah, some of the bumps she takes, like this woman deserves to have her story told, all throughout. So I don't know how long the movie would be because she did have such a long career, but whatever story they decide to tell, however they decide to tell it, if they decide to do it, like I would definitely tune into this. I think it's a great idea.
Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Mae Young?
I was on the fence, but the more I'm turning it over in my head, I'm leaning towards yes. So I'm gonna go yes for this.
And Richie, what do you say about Mae Young?
Actually, JPO told me off air that he wanted to play Mark Henry, but it's not considered. But yeah.
Well, changing the tone. Mae Young is responsible for one of my favorite Jerry Lawler commentary one-liners. She was alive when the Dead Sea was only sick.
Yeah, I no, definitely. I had I mean, I was thinking about women. I have two. I think I had two women on my list, and one of them was Mae Young. So I guess I get the other one probably in honorable mentions if at this point. But yeah, so yeah, absolutely. She's she's unlike anyone else, I think. She's an amazing woman, and so not many people can sort of get to their peak success at like 80. So it's amazing, and like she's a tough bitch. So absolutely.
But yeah, funny enough, I was also leaning towards nominating a female wrestler, and this one just recently brought out a autobiography as well. So it's Becky. I'm bringing out Becky Lynch. There's Becky Lynch is one of those wrestlers I think I would like to know more about, like how she sort of got into this and that, and well, yeah, I could read the book, and I am planning on getting it if I find it somewhere. But she's one thing I found out recently, like she's never changed her entrance. She's never changed her entrance theme song in all her time in WWE. As well as like it's just, and I just find her really entertaining, like just with everything she comes up with and that. So yeah, gonna see where this goes. Barbara, what do you say about Becky Lynch?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested, but I think it's for me personally just a little too early for a biopic. I mean, I said the same thing though about Fighting with My Family. I'm like, a biopic about Paige already, but it did end up working. So like, I could be totally wrong, but like I feel like it's a little too early. So for that reason, I'm going to say no. However, if anything was announced that Becky Lynch was getting a biopic, I would absolutely watch it still.
James Cameron, what do you say about Becky Lynch?
Yeah, that gets a yes for me.
Richie, is Becky Lynch the other female wrestler you had on your list?
It wasn't because I agree with Barbara Jacob. I agree with hairstylist Jacob. I think it's too early. I don't think there's enough story there, other than person that was sort of perceived as mid, and then she kind of proved herself. I think there's a lot more story to tell there, and especially when she comes back. I know she's technically not on WWE at the moment, but I suspect that at some point she'll come back on a part-time basis, and we'll finish her story, as Cody would say. So the ones we are nominating, I would, for ones more conceivable. But Becky Lynch is not really one I could see in the near future, so I'm going to say no.
JPO, what do you say about Becky Lynch?
I lean more towards that, and hairstylist Barber as well. Again, we could be wrong. There could be there probably is a cool story to tell, but right now it's early. I don't think there's enough meat to the bone compared to what else could be brought up.
But that Becky Lynch isn't going to make the list. Moving on to Jacob the Demon Barber. Jacob, what is your next?
All right. Hear me out, for real. I'm gonna. This one is going to be fictionalized because I think it could be really cool. All right. So I think one of the coolest things in wrestling was the three faces of Foley, right? Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind. I would love like a limited series, but the story, the biopic, is him growing up as each one of those characters. Like if he was actually a Cactus Jack type as a kid growing up, trying to break into the wrestling business. Mankind, Dude Love. I think it'd be fun. I would absolutely watch it. We've got a couple fictionalized biopics on here already. Why not add a third one? I think it could be fun and entertaining.
I was about to say, what's the second fictionalized? Is mine the second fictionalized?
Yes. There's parallels, but it's still Ready to Rumble too. Like let's
no, you're right. My bad.
Jacob Cameron, what do you say about Mick Foley?
That's a yes for me. I think there's a lot of meat on the bones when it comes to Mick Foley, like fictional or otherwise. So yeah, thumbs up for me.
Richie, what do you say about Mick Foley?
That idea sounds awesome. I do like that idea. I also like the idea of just straight biopic with Mick Foley as well. I mean, the latest news on that, like Paul Walter Hauser said they've been chatting, but that doesn't, people put a lot of stock into that. But in saying that, I want that to happen. There's one it's a last spot. I'll leave it up to you guys to say no.
JPO, what do you say about Mick Foley?
Nah, this is too good for me to pass up. I know we're limited on spots, so despite saying no,
right.
No, I think this. I want to see this.
Yeah, this one is an easy yes me as well. But this is definitely one of those fictionalized ones I think will definitely work. And maybe you get a fourth one of all three of the faces teaming up for some reason.
You all see me backstage at that Royal Rumble. He was in 3 times.
I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to say yes, but I just selfishly wanted to come back to me. So.
I get it.
Yeah. But that does bring us to the end of this. Dave Cameron, what are some honorable mentions that you
Wait, that was 11 or 12?
That was 12.
That's 12. That was why I was so
Oh,
I'm
shit.
an Ari.
All right.
That's why I'm something an Ari about.
I said no.
There's still 3 S's.
Yeah. But JK, what are some honorable mentions you had?
Jim Cornette, specifically an I, Tonya style biopic where like there are fourth wall breaks. I would have pitched that. Brian Pillman is another one that was on my short list. There was like one other one that was like rattling around. I would have pitched a Shawn Michaels one. That was one too.
Richie, what are some honorable mentions you had?
Yeah, so the other woman on the list I had is China. So yeah, and
I thought about
yeah,
cheese. The wrestler would look like a happy movie compared to that.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. Look, I think biopics, the best biopics are depressing as shit. So I'd go that route. And in that vein, I would also go Scott Hall. Yeah, you know what? He's not. He's very active, but by all means, but like, and he's still a young guy, but he's got a interesting story. I'm just gonna throw it out there, Darby Allin.
Okay, yeah, that I would have given a yes to that.
But JPO, what are some honorable mentions you had?
The 4 I really wanted to get to is my boy Shawn Michaels. This is a great story of him being brash young start, getting fired, coming back, maybe being a bit of a douchebag, finding God, becoming a little bit of a better person, ending up as an agent. There's a good story there. I want to see a New Jack movie. Again, I don't know if WWE should produce it, but fuck yeah, let's get a New Jack biopic out there. That's how I wanted to pitch those two. I want to go from nice Christian ending to let's do New Jack now, where he dies on cocaine. Real polar opposites. Brooklyn Brawler movie, specifically again recasting Colt Cabana as Brooklyn Brawler, the penultimate jobber, who always jobbed but had a job for like 30 years. And my Rat Race, or no, I'm sorry, my Ready to Rumble other pitch would have been a Rat Race sequel with all wrestlers, because I don't know why WWE never did that. I want every single role to be a wrestler. I think that would get butts and seats, because they never really did that. There's the Marine 5 that has on top of the Miz, it has Naomi and Bo Dallas and Curtis, and that's kind of cool. That's the closest they ever went. I want it to where they go to a gas station, there's a wrestler. You know what I mean? There's all these different people racing. Yeah. They're all wrestlers. That would be cool.
Well, DDP was in the first one. He just cut out.
Yeah, cut. Well, completely not what I mean. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
But for me, some of the elements I had. I'm kind of surprised it didn't come up. Andre the Giant, I think, would have an interesting story there.
It's a hard movie to cast.
But it's similar to Jacob's idea of Mick Foley. If it got back around to me, I probably would have pitched Bray Wyatt, because I think Bray Wyatt's another one of those ones where his characters have a really interesting story alone. Rey Mysterio, I think, be interesting. And then the last two would I think John Cena could be an interesting biopic, just sort of show his time growing up in OVW and then where he is now, and then just a movie about the Rhodes family in general. I think could be interesting. But Barbara, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, so I was torn between two sort of fictionalized biopics. I ended up going with Mick Foley, but I thought the other one that could have been fun was the Hurricane. If he had grown up thinking he was a superhero the whole time, I thought could be fun.
That's a TV show. I want that TV show to watch. Nieces or kids, yeah.
I thought a comedy biopic of R-Truth just could also be fun. Just him lucking his way into the business. I wasn't supposed to be. I thought it was
literally a version of Weird, kind of.
Sort of, yeah,
oh
exactly.
My God, throw Bret Hart off this fucking list. Let's put that on there.
Throw Ready to Rumble 2 off. No.
You son of a bitch.
I would watch the movie. I just don't think it's a biopic. I'm not
Shut
die
up.
on that hill.
Move on.
But as far I would have also rather Sean. I haven't. There's got to be like a part 2 to this list because I also would have brought up Shawn Michaels. I'm surprised he's not on the list. I think there's a really good story there. I had one more and I lost it because I was laughing about R-Truth.
You should pitch
I think of it all.
everything you did. You're charming. I mean, I want to see that.
Let's listen here at WWE Studios.
A couple ones that came out. We mentioned in the chat. Jonathan Peck suggested a Forrest Gump type of movie about Haku, based on everyone in wrestling industry telling stories about Haku. He also mentioned Scott Hall, Brian Pullman, Paul Bearer, Dusty Rhodes. Brian Nussbaum came in saying he would like a biopic about the bloodline, which could be an interesting TV series.
Yeah, that'd be like the Young Rock, though. But you mean like a
spin-off from Young Rock, but yeah.
I feel like
it ends with the Rock popping up at the end of each episode. Like, I would like to talk to you about the Bloodline Initiative. And then Jonathan Peck's last one is Freddie Blassie.
yeah,
I probably pronounced that wrong, but
it's close. Blassie.
yeah. But just to recap, the 12 that is on the list, we've got Kurt Angle, we've got Bret Hart, we've got Eddie Guerrero, we've got Earthquake, we've got Brothers of Destruction, we've got Paul Heyman, we've got Ric Flair, we've got David Arquette, aka Ready to Rumble 2, Jake the Snake Roberts, Macho Man Randy Savage, Mae Young, and Mick Foley.
Hey, rethink. Come on, Richie, rethink. You know you want to see it.
JPO, what do you have at Travel?
Bret the Hitman Hart.
David, I get ready to rumble.
Whatever.
Jacob,
Ready to Rumble 2. If you had pitched this in like a movie that deserve a sequel list, I'm going 1 or 2 with this. You go biopic. I'm not as sold on that.
That's fine. I cheated. I still got it on.
But the fact that you got on the list, props to you.
Yeah.
And Jacob Cameron, what do you have at 12?
Ready to Rumble 2.
I read the tea leaves, man. I just preempted it.
This is actually tough.
JPO, what do you have at 11?
Bret Hart.
I haven't changed my board yet. I was busy writing out the long banner. I'm also going to go Bret Hart. Barbara, what do you have at 11?
I would go Bret Hart.
Jake Cameron, what do you have at 11?
Peer pressure, Bret Hart.
Richie, what do you have at 11?
Yeah, I think it should be Bret Hart's story should be packaged within a Hart Dynasty movie. It would be better. So I said Bret Hart.
That Bret Hart is going to be unanimously at 11. Actually, pretty tough. So I've got Kurt Angle at 10, Barber, what do you have at 10?
Yeah, I know he was my first nomination, but I'm actually going to go Kurt Angle as well.
Jake Cameron, what do you have at 10?
Earthquake.
Richie, what do you have at 10?
Yeah, Kurt.
And JPO, what do you have at 10?
You got Kurt Angle.
My doggy was complaining about Ready to Rumble 2 being at 12.
He's got his number 12. He wants to be higher. Exactly.
It should be number 11.
Not much higher. He just wanted a little higher.
Barbara, what do you have at 9?
This is really tough. I'm going to go Paul Heyman.
Jacob Cameron, what do you have at 9?
Sticking with Earthquake.
Richie, what do you have at 9?
It's tough, but I said Eddie Guerrero.
JPO, what do you have at 9?
I said Macho Man.
Oh no!
I also went Eddie Guerrero.
At least it's not a tie.
It's got to be called Viva La Raza, by the way.
Jake Cameron, what do you have at 8?
I'm switching mine up. Let's go Brothers of Destruction.
Richie, what do you have at 8?
Paul Heyman.
JPO, what do you have at 8?
Macho.
I also went Randy Savage. Barber.
I'm sticking with Paul Heyman.
So we've got a tie between Paul Heyman and Randy Savage. Richie, I believe you're the only one that was different. Who are you going to put at 8?
No, I think
That was Jake Cameron.
No. Cameron was the only one that's doing it. I said Paul Heyman.
Oh, that's right.
Macho it is.
Richie, what do you have for 7?
I'm sticking with Heyman.
JPO?
The Nature Boy Slayer.
I'm made a last minute change of mind and I'm going with her as well. Barber, what do you have at 7?
Paul Heyman.
And Jacob Cameron.
Heyman.
Paul Heyman is going to be at 7. Just to recap who we've got left, we've got Earthquake, Brothers of Destruction, Paul Heyman. We've got Earthquake, Brothers Destruction, Ric Flair, Jake the Snake Roberts, Mae Young, and Mick Foley left. JPO, who do you have at 6?
Ric Flair.
Also Ric Flair. Barber.
Ric Flair.
Jacob Cameron.
Ric Flair.
And Richie.
I'm the only one out. Odd one out and said Brothers of Destruction.
Ric Flair is going to be at 6. Well, here I'm going to go Earthquake. Barber.
Brothers of Destruction.
Jacob Cameron.
BOD, Brothers of Destruction.
Richie.
Brothers of Destruction.
And JPO.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
But it's going to be Brothers of Destruction at 5.
Asa Butterfield is the Undertaker.
I mean, it's funny, like, looking at this list, Paul Waterhouse could play a few people on this list, but I could see Paul Waterhouse playing, maybe playing Paul Bearer in a Brothers of Destruction movie.
Oh, yes.
And then I could also see him playing Paul Heyman as well.
It's funny, I can see JPO playing Paul Bearer.
Oh, yes. My boys.
But, Jake Cameron, who do you have it for?
Did you light the house on fire? I just said no.
Again.
Again.
Let's go Foley.
Richie, who do you have it for?
Jacob the Snake.
I understood that. Right.
Jacob the Snake.
Sticking with Earthquake, Barber.
Yeah, I'll go Jake.
You've seen him in Sex Education. Now see Asa Butterfield as the Undertaker.
Michael Gandolfini is King.
Richie, who do you have at 3?
Let's go Mae Young.
JPO.
Hold on, I'm drawing. 3 Faces of Foley.
Sticking with Earthquake, Barber.
Earthquake.
And Jacob Cameron.
Foley.
Richie, Mae Young, or Richie Foley or Earthquake.
Foley or I can feel an earthquake up in here. I got Earthquake. And that song.
Earthquake is going to be at 3. Which means this time we're voting for our number 1, and it's between Mae Young or Mick Foley.
The final 2 to make the list are the final 2 that we're voting for.
That's funny.
What? Hello, yeah. Right. I'm fine, you shake.
On me, I'm going to go Mae Young as Jake. Barber.
As a number 1, right?
Yeah.
Mick Foley.
Jacob Cameron.
Foley.
Richie.
Foley.
And JPO.
I'm vain. I voted for my own thing. Mae Young.
Me too.
But with that, Mick Foley is going to be number 1. Mae Young will be 2. And But our
Not the
12
top 3 I expected.
No one
I feel
is.
like
People who read this spelling are like, what?
But just to recap the top 12 WWE wrestlers, at number 12, we've got David Arquette, aka Gordy Boggs, aka Woody Double 2. We got
Yes.
11 is Bret Hart. At 10, we got Kurt Angle. At 9, we got Eddie Guerrero. At 8, we got Macho Man Randy Savage. At 7, we got Paul Heyman. At 6, we got Ric Flair. At 5, we got Brothers of Destruction. At 4, we got Jake Snake Roberts. At 3, we got Earthquake. At 2, we got Mae Young. And number 1, we got Mick Foley. But for that next week's episode of Rankum is going to be top 12 disaster movies. Barbara, where can people find you online?
Oh yeah, I don't have much going on anymore. Lonely Marks every Thursday, wherever we decide to do that. And then yeah, I would like to protest number 12 still. I just realized top 12 WWE wrestlers. As far as I'm concerned, number 12.
Wrestled on a number 9 Raw once. Suck it.
Really?
He did.
Show me that episode.
Just
because I want to see it now.
No, that was I believe a dirty sweep WWT question I said, which was what former WWE World Champion wrestled a one-off on whatever Raw.
Well, you know what JPO is going to pick next time he ever wins the predictions. But Kevin, where can people find you online?
YouTube at RyanCam20. I've got a lot of movie stuff going on. JPO is going to be joining me very soon to review Big Daddy with me as part of my 1999 project. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So if you haven't checked me out, please do.
Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can catch me on here from time to time. Take 3 tournament fights, tier ranker, and yeah, Lonely Marks. We're getting a new channel, but yeah, can't remember what we decided to do next week, but we'll be back doing something. Yeah, great plug.
I think it's the crappy draft.
Oh, it's a crappy. Oh yeah, cool. That should be fun actually. And yeah, don't get the horror free for all event soon. I'll be in that. Don't plan to do. I'm not expecting to do great, but
down, Richie.
Very presumptuous that you and I are going to be in the same call ever. But yeah. So yeah, check.
I didn't say I was taking you down. I'll probably be gone by then, but
oh yeah.
We'll take you down, Richie.
Congratulations to John Ma for winning your own tournament. No. I don't know. OnlyFans. I don't actually know. I'm on TikTok now, but I haven't posted because I've been sick. Check that out. Register Tavern Chikudeka. You'll find it. And then yeah.
Before JPO goes, I do one more thing. I do want to shout out Michael. Congrats on getting married today. He's another wrestling fan, friend of the show. So shout out.
Michael Turner, we love you, buddy. My best friend because he beat Barber last year. So
he wouldn't give you those 2 points for nailing the last question. It's like he almost didn't want me to be his best friend anymore.
You could have had it if you just had the other questions right. Don't worry, guys. Come back this year.
JPO, where can people find you on?
Well, first you can find David Arquette teaming up with Alex Riley in the private chat to take on Randy Orton on a Monday Night Raw. So click that link to check that out. Plus, I also view technically WCW counts because WWE owns that now, so they are that umbrella. But yeah, of course, you can always find me at the Pierce Go. We do trivia, we do top 10s, maybe some drafts. Might even start doing some tournaments over there. Yeah, maybe. Lots of fun stuff here. Pierce Wrestling, we got exclusive matches, interviews, We have a one off of Lonely Marks. Want to check out our last episode because that show's dancing. And then well, I'm popping up in Why We Love Horror, popping up on this channel from time to time. Common Wrestling Trivia over at Twitch. Multiplex, just taped some stuff with there with Amaru. So thanks for having me, Malcolm.
And you can find me on Patreon Productions, hosting main every week. Next week is going to be Top Shelf Disaster Movies. You can also find me popping up on the Movie Hero Network from time to time. Next week is going to be the Return of the Letters, going into the year 2003. And I pop up in other places from time to time wherever they'll have me. But until next time, just stay random. I'm just going to go out on this.
You can do it! You can do it!